Hey y'all, welcome to the T-Work podcast, hosted by Grant Banko and me, Adam Moreau. From entrepreneurs and athletes to the rat racers of corporate America and those who refuse to be put in a box, we want to share their stories and understand how they ended up where they are. Success and development come in many shapes and sizes. We want to hear about it all. So grab a drink and pull up a seat. Let's spill some tea and get to
Hello and welcome back to the T-Work Pod. Today we have Erin Dixon with us. Erin Dixon is currently the pitching coach for the softball team at Georgia Tech, repping them with the shirt today. But Erin, from our perspective, is the ultimate story of bet on yourself. So Banko and I eventually met Erin while she was playing softball at Eckerd College. She's from Buffalo, New York. Uh, from there, went to Northeast Community College in Mississippi, where she was a two-way player, first baseman and pitcher. Took her talents down to Florida, where she competed like crazy at Eckerd on some of the most successful teams that the softball program has ever put together. Then she headed over to the Bayou, repping the LSU Tigers for her grad assistantship. From there, headed over to Lamar in Beaumont, Texas, then over to Georgia State with the softball team there. From Georgia State to UNC Wilmington, from UNC Wilmington for a very brief stint with the Oregon State Beavers. We'll talk about that and the very unique story around it. But now she has finally landed in Atlanta, Georgia. So with that, Erin, I know it's an all over the place intro, but I think all over the place kind of describes the life you've led to this point. Just putting your finger in so many different places and just testing the waters, figuring out what sticks, what you love, what you hate. And it's one of the things I love and appreciate about you is you do wear your emotions on your sleeve in the best way possible. Like it to me, it's what makes your personality so infectious and makes it so easy to form relationships with you. So I mean, Erin, I don't know if there's anything I missed or you want to fill the gaps on, but go ahead, take it away.
No, I think you've nailed it. Well, first, thanks for letting me be here. And I think it's hilarious because we all went to college together and we were a bunch of knuckleheads. So like now seeing you guys be incredibly successful and it's exciting stuff. But yeah, I'm from Buffalo and I don't know if you can hear the sirens. That's the city of Atlanta outside. But I live in Midtown right by Tech's campus. It's beautiful. But yeah, from Buffalo and I played softball my whole life growing up and I knew, like I wanted to play in college and Buffalo is very cold. So it's not like the South where down here they play year round. It was like you pitch in a gym with my dad wearing balls off his shins for however many months in the gym. And then you get to be outside for the small amount of window for school. And so I wasn't super recruited. So I decided that junior college was the way to go down in Mississippi. My pitching coach at the time, he had gotten an email and I just was like, all right, let's go visit it. Went like saw Southern hospitality at its finest in Mississippi and my dad was like, this is where you need to go. So signed, went to JUCO down there, was a whole 180 from where I'm from. I'd never experienced anything like that in my life, but it was really good for me as a person and growing. And then from there went to Eckerd, which was another 180 down to St. Pete. Our campus was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. But it was awesome. And I think the biggest thing that, like you say, bet on me, the biggest thing that's made me successful is I've never been scared to just pick up and go. And I think that's what's made me successful and just not being scared of a challenge and committing to the idea of like, this is going to make me better in the long run and having enough, emotional intelligence to say, hey, this is going to really suck in the beginning, but it's going to be good. So that's what led me to LSU after taking a gap year with my best friend, Carolyn, who we're all good friends with, and she played softball. And yeah, it was scary, but great. And it's the best decision I ever made was to go to LSU and it set me up to be successful because I got to learn from one of the best pitching coaches in the country and met one of my best friends or a lot of my best friends really. And yeah, so from there, Lamar, which it was a trying year, but it was great because I learned a lot of things. And then from there, Georgia State, when I moved here, that's when I fell in love with Atlanta. That's when I knew that Georgia Tech was my dream job. And so my goal was always, how do I get to Tech? Because I want to be in Atlanta. It's a Power 5 job. I want to compete at that level and run with the big dogs because that's kind of how I am. And from state, went to UNC Wilmington and then this past summer, so Oregon State thing, I was in Chicago with the pro league. So I was coaching up in AU or facilitating at AU. And I'd been talking with Oregon State for a while. I went out on a visit. I loved it. And so I was like, all right, we're going to do this. It's going to be great, And then, I told her on my interview, and I had a great experience there. Corvallis was beautiful. I had a phenomenal experience there. That's what led me to make the decision to leave UNCW and go to Corvallis, even though I had such a great relationship with the coaches, with administration, with the kids. Like I really loved Wilmington. But I knew that if I want to be a Power 5 coach, and that's my goal, like you have to do this for yourself. And so I cried long and hard about it because I'm not a West Coast girl. And so I was like, but I'm doing this for me, and this is what you have to do. And like you talk about it, be about it, like make the decision and do the hard thing. So I committed to, going there. I signed my contract, but on my interview with Bergie, what I said was like, we were talking about longevity, and she's like, I need someone here. And I'm like, of course. I'm like, I'm moving across the country. Like I plan to be here. I'm like, here's what you need to know. I'm like, there's 2 jobs that I would leave you for point blank. I'm like, I'm just telling you the truth. And she's like, okay, appreciate that. She's like, okay, what are they? I'm like, LSU and Georgia Tech. And she's like, okay, LSU, total sense. Like it's your alma mater, like why Tech? And I'm like, Atlanta is like home to me. I want to live in Atlanta. I want to be in Atlanta. Like I am Atlanta. And so since 2019, I was like, I knew I wanted to be at Georgia Tech. And she was like, okay, cool. And we kind of like laughed about it, moved on. I'm a straight shooter. So I told her that because, what happened if they call? So, we move on. We don't say anything about it, whatever. Well, about a week later, I get a text from my head coach, Eileen Morales, and I didn't even have her number saved. So she texts me. She's like, hey, congrats on the new gig. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. Like, I was like, oh, and who is this? Like, I didn't have her number. And she's like, it's Eileen Morales. I was like, oh. So I'm like, thank you so much, and don't think anything of it. Well, then a few days later, she reached out to me and was like, hey, we have an opening. Would you be interested? Or she called me and I was like, you need to call my boss right now. Yeah, I'm interested. Call my boss. So she called Bergie and gave her like the professional courtesy of like, hey, we're going after Erin. And then we text each other at the same time. But she was like, hey, you, Georgia Tech just called. We need to talk. And then I text her, was like, hey, GT called me. We need to talk now. And so Bergie gave me so much grace. She is an incredible human. My decision to go to Oregon State was solidified in how she handled the situation. She was so kind to me. Again, gave me more grace than I probably deserved. I cried over it. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm such a loyal person. I had no idea this was coming. Like, I don't know what to do. And it was like, if you don't want me to do this, like, tell me. And like kind of put the ball in her court. And she was so cool. She was like, dude, like on your interview, you told me this is your dream job. Like you can't walk away from this. And I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, dude, like you were straight up with me. Had you not told me, I'd have thought this was fishy, but like you told me you got to go after it. It's your dream job. I'm like, thank you so much. Hang up. I call Aim. I'm like, I'm coming. So yeah, it was a whirlwind how it all came to be, but I'm where I'm supposed to be. I love Georgia Tech. I love my staff. I love my kids. Like I could not be happier. So, but with all that being said, like, thank God for Laura Berg allowing me to then go and do something else. So I did sign my contract and she let me back out of it. Thank God. So yeah, she was phenomenal through the whole process. So I still text her the other day. I was thinking about her. So I sent her a text. Hey, I'm thinking about you. You're doing well. And because how late it all happened was not ideal. And so that's the other piece I think is important. This happened in like September, which is not ideal, or like late August. So she was very cool. But yeah, so yeah, that's how I got to where I am here at GT. But
no, it's always good to catch up, Erin. And like I didn't know half of the story because we've been out of touch for a couple of years. So I mean, that's crazy. And I'm happy you got your dream job. I mean, looking at that situation, I mean, you were upfront and just like Adam said, like your personality, like where you stand with you, like you either like somebody or you don't, and you wear it on your sleeve, and that's I think a good thing.
Yeah.
Looking at that conversation when you were interviewing with Oregon State, and what made you think of actually being upfront about that and saying, hey, these are my dream jobs, like I just want to make you aware? Like, did you get guidance from a mentor there? Or, like, where did that come about to have that feeling to tell that to Oregon State?
Yeah, actually, it's funny when I told some people I said that on my interview. This is before Georgia Tech ever happened. They're like, "Why'd you say that?" I was like, "It's the truth. What do you mean?" Like, she's my potential boss, who's like like a 3-time Olympian, 4-time medalist, like from a coaching side. I'm like, she's looking me in my face saying, hey, we want you to be here for X amount of time. Like, you just got to be transparent with people. So I'm like, yeah, dude, like I'm moving 48 hours across the country. Like I'm here for you, but I would leave you for X, Y, and Z. And so, because would I not look like, like a schmuck if I move out there and then Georgia Tech calls me next year and I'm like, hey, sorry, gotta go. Like, and I say that too also as like accountability piece, because I think when you're in the coaching world, things can get like you can get big eyes, right? And you're like, oh, I need this job. I need to do this, because you are trying to climb the ladder. And for me, yes, there is climbing the ladder because you want to be at the highest, but also because like I want to compete with the big dogs. Like I'm highly competitive. So I said it more as like accountability piece for me of like, if you're doing this, you're doing this. But if these two schools call me, and LSU wouldn't call because, Beth, she's a pitching coach there, she's a head coach, and she's going to be there for a while. But so for me, I'm just a very transparent, open person. And I take pride in telling the truth. I take pride in holding true to my words. So if I didn't say that, gosh, I'd have looked like such a jerk. She probably would have had the worst experience with me. But I think that's so important. And how I've really like lived my life is like living in the truth, whether it's good or bad. And you just have to own it. Like you're not going to make everyone happy in life. And so like, if that pissed her off enough for her to be like, yeah, she doesn't need to come here. Like I wasn't supposed to be there, but she was cool with it. She took it. We decided, yep, we're doing this. And then here comes Georgia Tech, which again, thank God I said it. So it all worked out because, everyone that was like, why would you say that to somebody who's trying to hire you? Well, now I don't look like such a jerk, but because, and to think, I mean, I did give her the choice. I was like, are you sure you're okay with me doing this? Because I didn't want to leave her high and dry. So again, so grateful that she was like, dude, you told me straight up, this is your dream. I'm like, thank you, like crying on the phone to this woman who I'd known for maybe 3 weeks. And she was really, really kind. And she has a beautiful family. And it was such an experience getting to know her and the athletic department. It was an awesome experience. But yeah, so that telling the truth up front, if you ever think you might dip on somebody, you should just tell them up front, because you never know, you might talk them into existence. So
that's great, dude. I love that story so much. I know I've heard it a couple times from you, and really it'll never get old to me. I love the way Banko phrased his question, like talking about like what made you even think of it. Because I don't think that's something that would cross the minds of the majority of the people on earth. Like, but it's so unique to me with Oregon State. Like, technically, like that's the big dogs. You're in the Pac-12. Well, I guess not anymore. Who knows what's going on there? But like that's as like a big a stage as you can get. But like, there's one thing to be in the door. There's another thing to act like you belong. And to me, like being a lifelong fan of yours, or a fan since heck, whatever, 2013 when we met, is you had this goal and nothing was going to deter you from it. Like you understood the nature of the industry that you're in. There is lateral movement, there's upward movement, there's downward movement. And technically to most, you got to the highest stage, but to you, it wasn't enough to just be there. It was always thinking, how do I reach my ultimate goal, my dream job, like that pie in the sky? So like now I kind of want to like transition, like what did it feel like when you got the pie in the sky? Like what you've been dreaming about since, what you said, 2018, 2019?
Well, I cried first and foremost. If you can't catch the gist, I'm a crier. But I think that just comes with being authentic and vulnerable. But when I took the Oregon State job, I was nervous because it was a huge move, like across the country. Like that is the only way I was betting on me. I was saying, hey, we're going to move to Oregon, even though you've only been out there one time to see Carolyn, our mutual friend of mine. You're going to Oregon and it's going to be great. And you're going to make it great, because no matter where you go, your goal is to make people's lives better. And you're going to do that in Oregon. It's going to be great. So I was like convincing myself, and then when everything happened with Georgia Tech, I called my parents crying and I was like, I did it. Like that was the only emotional response. Well, when I took the job, I was like jumping up and down and screaming, which is so funny to think now my boss, if she hears this, she's going to make fun of me. But I was like jumping up and down, like, let's go. Like, like all freaking out. And then called my parents, and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe I did it. Cause there were so many times where I was like, I think I need to quit, which people talk about chasing the dream. They don't talk about all of the ugly that comes with chasing your dreams, like missing out on social events, watching film until your eyes are like teary eyed, ready to pull your hair out when you lose a game you know you should have won. Just different things that come with dream chasing, moving across the country because you think it's going to make you better, putting yourself in debt for paying for an education that you knew you needed to get where, like, there are things that come with dream chasing that people don't talk about. And so when I got there, I was like, everything made sense. All the trials, the tribulations, the hardships, the heartbreaks, like all of it made sense when I was like, I did it. Like, I'm here. And so it just kind of, everything's fallen into place. Like, I love where I live. I love my staff. I love my kids. I love or the institution. I love all of it. Right. Like, I'm so happy. And so it's funny looking back on some of the experiences I had of like, why am I being put through this? Why am I being tested? And just kind of like trucking. Cause like even last year, like last March, I was ready to quit. Like I called my dad crying. I was hysterical. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is so hard. People don't understand. Like, I can never come home. I can never see you guys. I can never, like, my friends, I tell my friends all the time, this is like a big joke. I'm like, hey, if you're going to have a birthday, get married, or die, you can't do it between January and June because I just won't be there. Like, sorry, gotta wait. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, grandma, did you want to die? You gotta wait. Like, I know it sounds so morbid, but it's the truth. Like, because the biggest part of my job happens between January and June. And so it's like, like, why am I doing this? Why am I missing weddings? Why am I missing birthdays? Why am I missing births of children? Like, why? And then when I got this job, it was all like, this is why. Because I'm competitive, and it's like, it's like when you take a big loss or you fail, I think some people are just hardwired this way. And my brain is hardwired to like, failure is a lesson and you keep moving. Like, you don't have a choice, you keep moving. And so I think that's why every time where I almost quit, I didn't, and was like, what are you thinking about, you idiot? Like, this is what you love. Like, you have to like gaslight yourself a little bit when you're like crying and you're in the trenches. You got to gaslight yourself and be like, grow up. And I'm really grateful I gaslit myself for about 5 years. So
wouldn't use that terminology, but good use of the word gaslight in there.
yeah.
I mean, it's a good point to bring up that I think a lot of people don't take into account of like different jobs and dream jobs. I mean, Adam, you went through it too with when you were starting Flex Pro Grip, and we were like trying to plan trips or something. You're like, it's baseball season. Like, I'm busy until at least September, October, November. Like, I can't do anything for the next 7 months. Looking at that now, and like, obviously, Erin, your parents, I'm assuming, play a huge role in your life, and like, definitely you go to them for mentorship. Other than that, I mean, looking at that relationship, and then also just looking at the journey and almost wanting to quit, what other things did you do to help keep you going and motivated? Were there other things that you did that, looking back now, like, oh, that's why I was doing this, to help myself get through those tough times?
Yeah. So like the systems that I have in place are, so like my friends that are also coaches, they're big support. So Riker, my best friend, we met at LSU. He was at Ole Miss for the past 3 years, and now he works for OGX. He was probably my biggest support system because we talked probably 4 times a week, and we'd call each other and be like, talk me off the ledge. Tell me not to quit my job. And it has nothing to do with like, right, like your boss. Like, it's nothing about, it's literally about the demands of like, you're working from Monday to Monday, and like, sorry about it. Like, tell me it's going to be okay. Right. So your systems of like your support system. So like Riker, and then like my parents were a huge piece. So my dad would never let me quit anything. So I typically wait to call him until the last minute when I know I'm like ready to break. And he'll be like, don't you think you can just push a little bit harder? And I'm like, damn it, Dad. Yeah, I can. And like, that's why I called you. It's because I was really ready to quit, and I knew you'd talk me out of it. But like, something that I'm not great at is having like systems for like mental health, right? I think that's something that coaches can be better at, is like time off. Like, I don't know what that is. I'm not great at that. Like, I'm going to watch film. If the job requires me watching film till 3 a.m, I'm going to do the job. And there are like, right, like great coaches that are now like, dude, stop doing that. You're crazy. But like, when you're in it, you're in a rabbit hole and you can't get out. So I think probably my healthiest year as a coach, I worked out a lot. It cleared my head a lot, went on walks, physically remove myself from the space. Got out of my apartment, because when you get holed up in your apartment, you know, it can get you a little crazy. But my healthiest years, I had systems of like making sure like, okay, I'm going to meet up with one friend this week, whether it's for dinner or coffee, or just get away from the field and feel like I have a social life, even though I really don't. But yeah, I've only been here for one semester. So I haven't really it's coming though. In February, it's coming. So I need to get some systems in place, because this is obviously a whole different caliber. But yeah, my biggest things last year was like my support systems of like my friends. And then, you know, when you travel, like Carolyn came and saw me at Delaware. So that was awesome. That was like, oh my gosh, I get to see my best friend. And then when you travel to, like, let's say Florida, like I have friends in Florida from Eckerd that'll come see us. So it helps to see people like scattered throughout the year as you travel. This year we're going to Syracuse. So I think a lot of my family's going to be there, which has never happened. So I'm really, really excited for that. My family's coming down for the Louisville series. They're going to stay with me. So that piece of like being able to see people throughout the season also helps, because it kind of gives you like a little bit of morale. You're like, oh, it's so close. The beach is so close. Because, you know, that's like the first thing everyone does after season is like Florida. So, and that'll be the first thing I do this year, straight to Florida. So, because it's like, what a great year. Let's sit on the beach and have a drink. So, yeah, I'm trying to get some better systems in place this year, because this is my dream job. I know I feel a lot of pressure from myself to be good at what I do and make sure I'm keeping the people around me happy. I don't like to disappoint people. That's like my biggest thing, is if you say I'm disappointed in you, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to exist moving forward. But so yeah, I got to get the systems in place for this year.
I think it's unique to hear you say that regarding your biggest fear is disappointing others, but like Banko and I know you're your own worst critic anyways. So like you're gonna hold yourself to a way higher standard than anybody else does. And I recognize like that comes with like the system. Like you have people that you can bounce ideas off of, or you can take yourself out of a situation. But I'm sure that is very tough with you living on the road, because your support system, it's very hard for that to be physical. So like, I mean, you're already in an industry that relies so much on technology and computers and phones. Like, is it hard that your saving grace, like these relationships, kind of has to be remote or has to be from a phone?
Yes, that piece is what sucks. So all my family slept in Buffalo. So like I just was there for Christmas for about a week and a few days, and it was phenomenal. And I have a nephew who, the hardest part, which is like last year, I was like, I need to quit and get away and move to Buffalo. Is like my nephew didn't even know who I was, and that was like, oh my God, it just tore me apart. Now this past trip, he could say Auntie E, and he was like, Auntie E, come play, which was like that comes with an age thing. So I had to work through that gap of like my own nephew scared me because he only sees me twice a year for like 1 or 2 days, and then I got to scoot. But yeah, the phone. So my sister, she FaceTimes a lot, or like Snapchat videos a lot with Wesley, which is like when I'm having a bad day, I'm like, thank God. I'm like, Wesley, you know, but I FaceTime my dad a lot. And if it weren't for FaceTime, like that piece is the biggest thing. Like Riker and I will talk on the phone for like 2 hours, and like just as we're like cooking and doing like as if we live together, right? Because we have nothing to do but like clean and do like tasks. So we'll talk for like 2 hours, which is great. But yeah, if I didn't have a cell phone, I would go crazy, because that's where all my relationships are. Because all my friends are scattered, right? Like moving back to Atlanta, I do have a few friends here from when I originally was here, but like my best friends are up north. My best friends, like Rikers in Chicago now, Carolyn and them, they're in Jersey. My family's in Buffalo. You know, I've got friends in Florida, Louisiana, like they're all over. And so that piece is tough, but I will say the recruiting piece in the fall is fun because you get to see your friends every weekend. So I don't love recruiting from a standpoint of like, oh, I also have to work every single weekend in the fall. That part, I'll tell anybody it sucks. If you say you enjoy your weekends at softball fields in the fall, like I don't trust you, because there's no way you enjoy that. There's no way. But what I enjoy is being able to see my friends that coach all over from that in one spot. Like that's the best piece. So it's really just 6 months of the year where I feel isolated, especially like when you're down the rabbit hole watching film, like that's where you feel the most isolated. But like we have a great staff, and I did at UNCW as well. So like you're with your friends, so that's good. But if it were not for the cell phones, we'd be going crazy.
So you obviously like talking on the phone, and the reason I say that is because knowing Adam, he is a big. I'm taking a road trip. I'm gonna make a couple phone calls, and I know when I get the phone call from Adam, I'm like, all right, do I have an hour or two to kill, or do I just not answer this and let him move on to the next person? And I'm not a big phone person, so that's why I say that. But it sounds like with the relationships you've had, you've always not enjoyed, but like you like talking on the phone and having that relationship and having that ability, if I'm interpreting that right.
Yes, 100%. I actually drove to Buffalo because I just got a new car. And so I've been driving my grandfather's car since literally right after Eckerd, my first year at LSU. I got my grandfather's vehicle. And so I've held on to it as long as I could. So it was time to get a new one. It was an '09 Altima, drove it like a Lexus, but so got a new car. And I was like, fly to Buffalo. I was like, I'm paying for transportation. I'm driving. So it was like a 13-hour ride to call people and work for. It's funny you said that because it's exactly what I just did on the way up and the way back.
Erin, I know we just threw a couple jokes in there, but I do want to go back to something that I picked up that I think is a little more on the serious side. So handle it however you want. But I think it's really powerful. Like you talked about all these times where you thought about quitting. You talked about the conversations you had, like, and we laughed at all those stories that you just said about quitting. Like feeling like you're ready to quit is a very real feeling. Like I know you, like, the reason that hurt you so much, or the reason you had to make those phone calls, is because like it was the reality you were in. Like you were getting pushed to that point. Like, and the reason I bring that up is like the only reason you're in that position is because you love what you were doing so much that I'm sure like from my perspective, it's the pain of like, am I ready to walk away from this thing that I love doing? Like, so what is it like? I want to hear it from your perspective, because this is very similar to like the path I'm on. Like, how does it feel to be in this love-hate relationship with your life's work?
Yeah, it's really tumultuous, actually. So it's the only way to describe it. It's like toxic, right? But it's the kind that you can't walk away from. And so, I mean, I even felt this way when I played. God, because you just like, you're a kid and you're like, oh, I want a birthday party. Sorry, we got a tournament. My birthday is July 30th. Sorry, we got a tournament. Like, and so you're just like, why am I doing this? Now it all makes sense why I did it. But I think the piece of like, when you're in it, like last March, I was going through it. That's why I called my dad. I'd waited. I hate to worry them about like where I'm at mentally. And so, because like when you're in the thick of it, it's dark. You're just like, God, I got to get through this. And it's not because of like the kids or the game. Well, yes, winning and losing plays a role in that, but also there's other contributing factors. And so I called my dad and was like, Dad, I think I'm ready. And I broke down. And I've probably done this 3 times where I've called him hysterical. Like, I think I need to quit. I think I'm done. Like, I think I'm ready. And I was ready to quit in March. And my boss knew I was going through it because of outside factors. And so my dad was like, could you quit on Ashley? And I was like, no, I can't leave her. I can't leave her to deal with this. And she's like, and my dad's like, okay, like, you ready to quit on your kids? Like, you ready to quit on your bullpen? And I'm like, no, because they would never quit on me, like they pushed through the hardest things for me. And so my dad's like, well, then you have your answer. Like, if you need to step away because you feel like you are mentally unwell and this isn't good, like, yes, step away. But if you think you can power through for the people around you that have also pushed and worked for you, then you need to do that. And I'm like, you're right. And so then I went to work and I cried to my boss because she knew I had a tough night. And I was like, I thought about quitting yesterday. I was like, I'm never going to do that to you, or I'm not going to do that to you. I was like, but I'm like down bad right now. And she was like, totally get it. And so, just being in an environment where you can be authentically yourself and be vulnerable. Like, I feel that way with my staff now. And I realized that, and the reason actually it took me so long to make the decision, did I want to leave UNCW, is because I was not willing to leave a really good environment for money. It's not worth it. I was not willing to leave an environment where I felt like I could be vulnerable and be myself and have a real conversation with my boss about, hey, I think I'm ready to quit softball. What do I do? Like, what do you think? And my boss looks at me and says, like, I'm going to support you. I know you're going through this. Like, da, 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 da. Like, it's not worth it. So that was the hardest piece for me. Was I loved where I was at, and I loved my staff, and my staff like was genuinely good people. Like, I wasn't ready to move and walk away from it. So I made it very clear to Oregon State and to AMA, like, if I can't lose with you, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm not willing to hurt myself mentally to be at the dream job, make the money. It's not worth it, because if I can't lose next to you, I don't want to work with you, because it can't work like this. So that was a roundabout answer of getting there. But that was what stopped me from quitting. Was win or lose, I wanted to be on the bus with those people, because they were really good people, and I would never quit on my friends or my kids. Right. And so that was the piece that kept me there last year, when I was like really at my tipping point, was the people around me who were good to me. Had that not been my environment, I probably could have easily stepped away and been like, I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if they think I'm a quitter, or I left someone hot. Like, I don't care what people think. Like, you got to do what's right for you. And so a job is not worth your mental sanity. But I realized that it was outside factors, right? Not the job. And I knew the people within were going to support me. So it wasn't worth leaving. And it certainly wasn't worth leaving my kids. And we're all better for it. But like, those are like the tough conversations that I think coaches are scared to talk about, because it makes them look weak, or it makes them look whatever. Like, no, like, this is like, you're telling me you never thought about quitting. You're wrong. like this job is demanding. So that's, I think, what I loved about my staff and why I didn't quit. And then like why I chose Oregon State, and then why I chose Georgia Tech, on top of it being, the dream job and the Power 5, the status, whatever. Is like, I'm surrounded by really good people. And Jackie Joseph at Michigan State, before she retired, she said this at convention: you need 3 things to be happy: money, location, and staff. And I had 2 of the 3 at UNCW, and I was not willing to leave that. Because once you have 2 out of 3, you're never going back to 1 out of 3. But here at Tech, I've got 3 out of 3, which is phenomenal. So I'm glad I didn't quit. But
Well, Erin, so you talk about that, like, relationship, being able to be authentic, and kind of switching gears a little bit, rather than your ability to be authentic with the staff around you. I think from what I've witnessed the couple times I've been able to visit you, whether it's UNCW or at Georgia Tech, it's the ability for players to be authentic with you.
Yeah.
And I know you take a lot of pride in that relationship building, and like taking time with the girls individually, whether it's going to get coffee or like having your staff dates. I think like you've done a very good job being creative with your ability to cultivate this culture everywhere you've gone with your staff. So like, are there things that you do or you recognize in your pitchers, or is it just like, what it takes to believe in those around you?
yeah, I think, oh my gosh, that's such a great question. I love this question. So for me, the biggest thing is like, you don't quit jobs, you quit people, right? So at Eckerd, Bo, I would run through a wall for that man. I freaking love him. Like, you've worked for Bo. I love Bo, right? I would do anything for this guy. And so like, I want to be that for my athletes, where it's like, they feel they can talk to me, whether they're going through a breakup, or whether, they've got struggles at home going on and they just need to talk to someone. I think, I don't think it's cool to be like the scary coach that's unapproachable. I think that's pretty whack, honestly. Like you're insecure if you're trying to flex up on some kids. Like, they have so many things going on in their life, and like, who are we to make it worse? Right. And like, especially with our bullpens, they're on pitch counts. And like, so if I see a pitcher for 4 hours, throw 4 hours a week, and that's including their plyos, whatever, like, I get 4 hours to like work with them. And so they don't see me that much. And so if I don't make myself personable to them, like, I'm always just going to be the pitching coach. Right. And so that's not how you get the most out of your players. When I was at Wilmington, I started going on coffee dates with my kids, and it started with like going over goal sheets and just kind of using a goal sheet to keep them accountable through their meetings of like, it's my original thought when I was younger was like, okay, we'll do the goal sheets in case anyone asks why they're not playing. Like, here are your goals. Here's where we thought you were going to be, and now you're not. And it actually turned out like this was such a bogus thing of like the goal sheet. and then it turned into like accountability for them. And then it turned into like, screw a goal sheet. Like, let's get coffee and like, let's talk about what you want to do and like get to know each other so I can be the best for you. Because now it's the way pitching staffs are moving. It's not like you've got one or two arms. It's like, you need the staff. So the idea that you go into a bullpen and you talk to your two starters and then everybody else is just throwing, like, that's ridiculous. So, we've got 7 pitchers here. The fall has been a whirlwind because I believe in individuals. So there are days where I will be in that bullpen for 6 hours a day, and it's worth it because my kids know that I care about them and that I'm always going to put their success and like their development first above everything, above my time, above my needs, because like that is where, when athletes see you working for them, they're going to work for you. I don't know who made this analogy once, but like athletes are like banks. Like, you can't start withdrawing money until you make deposits. And so if you're not constantly depositing into these kids of like, hey, I'm going to show up for you, I'm going to work for you, what can I do for you outside of softball? What can I do for you? How's life? Like, how's classes? And so that's something that also at Georgia Tech that I love that AMO has us doing is we do weekly meetings. It's not just with pitchers. So every week I meet with 5 or 6 kids and just like check in, like, how's life? What's going on with your family? How is the holidays? Like, how are classes? Oh, I didn't know that was going on. Let me notify our academic, whatever it might be. And so just keeping tabs on the kids because again, like, it's so whack, the idea of like being scary and unapproachable. Like, if a kid ever said, I feel like I can't challenge you or talk to you or whatever, I'd be like, oh my God, like, I'm not doing my job right. Because my goal is like, I want my kids to look at me like, why are we doing this? Thank you for asking. We're doing this because X, Y, and Z. Like, any other questions? Do you have concerns? Like, let's talk about it. Because now they're interested and they're intrigued and they're curious and they're taking their training more seriously. And so you only get to that point by making yourself accessible and personable. So the relationships are why we do what we do. And I tell my kids all the time, like, if we didn't have relationships, I wouldn't do this job. I'd go do something else where I didn't have to talk to anybody and could just make money and move on. But like, we do this because like it brings a sense of community on top of, playing a sport and being highly competitive. So yeah, the relationships are everything I do is for the relationships, whether that be for our staff or my athletes. And I think people know because it's just genuine, right? Like this fall, I got a concussion. I got hit with a line drive in the dugout. My boss had just said, like, don't sit there, don't sit. And I'm like, no, dude, like, I'm totally fine. And I wore it straight off my face. And then I had never had a concussion where all of a sudden I just got like angry. And I was in the dugout and I was so pissed off. Like, I was just like irate. And my boss looks at me. She's like, can I help you? Like, is there anything I can do to help you? I'm like, no, I'm just so freaking mad right now. And then later on, I figured out it was because I was concussed, but like ruined the whole atmosphere of the dugout. And also because I was like, oh no, dude, I'm fine. It's chill. Like, I'm good. Meanwhile, my shoulder's bleeding. My head's like, because I didn't want to like cause a scene, And then, but I ruined the whole environment of our dugout because I was angry and I was like fired up. And so in the post-game huddle, before we went out there, we had lost a game and we always talk as a staff before we go out. And I was like, I don't know that you guys are going to agree with this, but I want to apologize to the team for like getting all amped up and like worked up. And everyone just kind of looked at me and I was like, I think that's why we lost. Like, I ruined the vibe. And they were like, and I'm like, just trust me. So we go out there and I'm like, hey, before we even talk about the game, like, I want to apologize because I ruined the whole vibe of the game. Like, game 2, I ruined it. Like, we lost because of me, because I was all worked up and this is before I realized I was concussed. Like, I didn't know why I was pissed off. I just was. Then later on, when I was in our staff meeting, like yelling, crying, we were like, so she's not right. Like, she's not okay. And then we put it together. I was concussed, but like accountability, like, if I can't be vulnerable with the kids and say, hey, I messed up and got angry and I shouldn't have been, and I'm sorry, like, why would they trust me? Because of that, because I owned up to being a hothead for no reason. Now the kids are like, oh my God, what the heck? That was actually really cool. Thanks for apologizing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled. I don't know why I did. Next day, we're like, concussion. And then like struggled with concussion symptoms for like 3 weeks. So the kids were like, oh, it all makes sense because they'd never seen me yell because I'm not really a yeller like that. But yeah, it's funny, but I just went on a tangent. But yeah, accountability, relationships, vulnerability, it's so important.
No, I think that's a great story to sort of put context behind it. And also just hilarious. But staying on that, I mean, you mentioned Bo as a great coach and the relationship you had with him. Most people learn either from what they liked somebody else did when they were growing up, or what they want to be the exact opposite. Did you have? Is it? I mean, obviously you mentioned Bo. Was there other people where it was both? Did you get it from both ends? Basically, did you get some people you're like, I do not want to be that type of coach. I don't want that relationship with my players. And then did you have the side of like you mentioned Bo, but like I'm assuming you pick and chose as you grew up.
Yeah, I think so. There were a few coaches I've been around where I was like, no shot. Like, you're a joke. These kids don't respect you. And I can see it because I don't respect you. But obviously, you can't say that. You just like take mental notes, right? But there are a few coaches that I've learned from that I didn't want to be like, which that is so valuable. Like, being in an environment where you're like, I want to be nothing like you. Like, you don't know until you experience it. So that was phenomenal. But yeah, like Bo, I never had a hitting coach. I just like hit well. I just like, I'm a big kid. I'm 6 foot. I hit for power. And so when I got to Eckerd, Bo really helped me understand like how to be free in your swing. And so I freaking love Bo. Like, but so I took a lot of things from him. And then, you know, I went to LSU, and then like first day in the bullpen, I was like, so I don't think I know how to pitch, because just the things that they talked about and the concepts and the systems, I'm like, so I haven't been pitching. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I was doing, but this, I've never heard of any of this stuff. And so I took a lot of what Beck did. And then just as going from like Lamar, Georgia State to UNCW, like actually the COVID year like either made or broke coaches, right? So like over COVID, Riker and I, we were in Florida together, and we went down a rabbit hole. So we were on a Zoom with Dr. Greg Rose, and we were listening to this biomechanics stuff. And I'm like, Riker, what is this stuff? And he's like, I don't know. So we stayed up till 5 a.m. Okay. And like a Fernandino, which there's a Whataburger in Yulee, Florida, at 3 a.m. We finally were like, let's just go get food because we're not going to sleep. So this Zoom ended at 11 p.m. because people were talking, and so at 3 a.m. we were like, let's go get food because we're not going to sleep. We stayed up till 5 a.m. talking about biomechanics, just like confused, like, what do you mean the body does this, X, Y, and Z? That does not make sense because pitching is da 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 da. And so we went down this rabbit hole. So over COVID is when we started to get into the biomechanics, which now Riker works for OGX, which is like, in my opinion, the gold standard for pitching. And they've really set the tone and how to develop athletes, because that's the goal, right? Is like make kids better. And so if it were not for COVID, that like long break, we would not have probably dove into the biomechanic side of pitching as much as we did, which helped us grow. And so from COVID to my second year at Georgia State was after COVID. So from then on, it's been a constant grind of like, how do I make kids better? How do you actually develop kids? What are we looking to develop? Like, that's such a trigger word for people, but like, what are you actually doing? Right. And so that was huge for me as a coach, because it sent me down a rabbit hole of like, go learn as much as you can and put yourself in a spot to actually make kids better. And that's another piece of the buy-in with relationships. Like, I have a kid, and I have no problem saying this. She's a good pitcher, and her ERA hasn't related to, in my opinion, what she isn't. We all know ERA can be like a bum stat sometimes. And so we worked with OGX, and I told her, I was like, dude, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I was like, I'm really scared to fail you. And she was like, huh? And she's a transfer. And I was like, I don't want to fail you. And I was like, you have so much potential. I know everyone says that. I know you're tired of that. And I was like, but I can see the path we need to go. OGX has laid out a complete plan. Now it's my job to implement it. And I was like, I don't want to fail you. And so when she heard me say that, she was kind of like, huh, I've never had a coach, because I take it personally, you know. She's like, I've never had a coach look at me and kind of say that. And I'm like, well, yeah, well, now she's throwing hard, and much harder than it was. And so there's a lot of good things happening for her. And so I just went on a tangent. I couldn't tell you how we got here, but the concussion. But yeah, the relationship piece of like being accountable, and then like the growing and trying to, you know, like learn as much as you can and take from coaches. And then like once there's a point where it's like, okay, now I'm gonna turn this over to science. Like, I'm gonna try and learn some science stuff, because this is all of what we've been told, what we think is right. Now I want to know what the numbers say. So that was long-winded.
I'll connect dots.
So
thank you.
from your point of witnessing some of the best coaches or the like very special coaches in your life, whether it's Bo taking the time to show you something you've never been taught before on the hitting side. You've just been good, right? And somebody saw you can be better. They weren't content with just being good. I mean, the enemy of being great is being good. And Bo saw that for you. Then you go to LSU and you have to be vulnerable with yourself and recognize that there's so much in this world that you still have to learn. Like you were unbelievably successful college player. You had great results with everything you did. And then you go to the best players in the country with the top coaches in the country. And I'm sure it felt like you're back in like high school pre-calculus for the first time. And it's
Oh
just
my God, yeah.
what is in front of me right now? Then like obviously there had to be something in your life that made you accepting to new information. Like you have to be willing to admit in these situations, like I'm not the smartest person in the room. This is probably a better time for me to listen, absorb, and then digest it, which was the COVID time for you. It was that was the real leap forward, like you said. You saw this opportunity when the world shut down, when stuff was hard. You could either just ride it out and take your time off, or you could put yourself in a position to leapfrog the industry and continue to move up. And then all that knowledge enabled you to create the relationships, cultivate these awesome experiences that you've had from school to school. So hopefully that was the dot connecting we needed.
Yes.
I'm here for you. This is why we get on together just fine. But
Yeah, appreciate
yeah, no problem. Because my brain works the same way. Uh,
it.
yeah, all the Enneagram stuff that you taught me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so softball to me, like this might be a little more specific in the sports world, but softball to me, it's fun to have these conversations with you because it's like I'm used to baseball and the golf world that are so technologically driven. And then you and I, when we meet up, it's just like, all right, well, what rabbit hole are we going down this time?
Yeah.
Whether it's like the motor preference stuff, whether it's talking about like different biases like finger pressures, all these things that pitchers do. So, it is a little more specific, but I want to know about a project or something that is like driving you right now. It like you've always been motivated about these goals, but one of the things that I feel is going to like keep people going when they reach what they view as the pinnacle are like new special projects. What's exciting you now?
So this was not prompted. This is not a plug, but so we have invested in Flex Pro. And so this was not this was not a setup. Okay. But we have invested in Flex Pro and I'm actually really excited to because we brought in OGX this year. We did the
Yeah.
assessments. That was my big project in the fall with the plyos and all that. And so now I think we are in a space where mechanically our bodies are moving how they should. And I think there's still some things that I want to tinker with. And so my big thing is like, how can we get Flex Pro in here, implement it, get our forearms stronger, healthier, our fingers stronger, healthier, and how can we manipulate grips to start seeing better ball flight? And how do we take an 8-inch drop ball to a 10-inch, right? And so I think there's two kids in my mind specifically that I think that this is going to be like the end all be all for them, which I'm really excited about because we start back on the 4th. But yeah, I'm beyond excited to dive into this and how it affects and changes how we train and kind of how we prepare them for weekends and how it affects like recovery. Like that's another huge piece is, I used to be like, oh, we can throw, it's fine, we can throw. And now I'm like, hey, how many pitches have you thrown today? You better slow down because you're wasting balls. Like, like get intentional because we're running out of pitches. So just trying to keep them healthy because for the longest time, everyone's like, it's softball, it's natural, let them go. And it's like, baby, what? What about 300 pitches is natural? So, that's my biggest thing now is getting Flex Pro with the kids, getting them tested, like doing their pull down and then implementing some other things with Motor preference is a big one that we're on right now. And so implementing new warm-ups for our athletes dependent on their motor preference, and kind of getting them within their preference. So I think that everything that you learn as it relates to like science, like you can pull from everything. And so I think if someone is very closed-minded and says like, oh, that's ridiculous, how could that help, whatever, like you are where you are, like adapt or die. Like, so for us, like motor preference right now is a really big thing. And so I'm really interested to see how the motor preference stuff intertwines with Flex Pro, and some of our warm-ups, which I will of course keep you posted on. But yeah, that's our big, we've done the course, we've done all that. We're starting to implement new warm-ups, from pitching, hitting, and how they physically prepare for a game. We've got them sectioned off into groups. So if you come to a Georgia Tech softball game this year, you're going to see 2 warm-up groups, and they look very different, and they're going to be doing different movements, based on how their body prefers to move. So it's going to be really interesting.
And I know it wasn't planned plugged by you, but Adam definitely guided you to get that mention in there. So that was definitely planned by Adam.
Banko, you're a hater. No shot. No, I actually didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. I mean, yes, like Flex Pro Grip and Georgia Tech softball are going to be working together this year. Super exciting. Well, what's stinger? Do we do stingers? I saw you go horns up. Did we do
No, this was me just like rock on, bro. Like we're so excited.
Sting them, buzz.
Sure, sting them. But
yeah, but no, not. I appreciate the plug. Banko, you're hating, man. We're not selling out to sponsors. You're selling out to my own company.
hey, we paid our
that is
hard-earned. We paid our hard-earned money. Okay, so I paid for that. I'm so excited because there's 2 kids that I know. Like before break, I started messing with one of our pitchers, like finger placement, and so she has a great raz ball, but her index finger was like sustaining a lot of like issues and force, and so I was like, hey, can you try something for me? And like put her 2 fingers together, and I'm like, oh my god, I need Adam's device. I need to know what the pull down is. Like, so
yeah, I mean I think that speaks to, again, your willingness to adapt, continue to push forward, right? You're at what you view as your pinnacle, or what you viewed as the pinnacle for so long, but like complacency will kill you. Like if you just look around, you're either moving forward or moving backward. There's no staying still. And I know we have the infamous Riker right around the corner. Hopefully we can get a quick cameo from him or something if the security of your apartment doesn't just hold him down.
I was gonna say he's actually not here. He's probably about to pull in about 20 minutes. But
good. I mean, I would love to stay down the super techie softball, baseball development sect, but that's not the most fun for everybody who might be tuning in. So I do want to go back to like your current routine. So we talked about what you did that has gotten you to this point. You've talked about now you want to go down a path of developing a system that you know you can rely on. So like in a system, we talk about like what we want to happen. Are there things now that you know don't work for you? Like, has that been important for you? Just like identifying, like, I'm never going to try that again. Like, that didn't help me. It was just too much energy wasted.
yeah, like one of the things I used to do, and this is not as it relates to like the tech side, but I used to have kids do journals, which this might be a hot take because I also agree with like when something clicks, write it down, you're going to forget. Like you've got to track your progress. But I used to make them always fill out a journal and turn it in every Sunday, which if any of my former athletes listen to this, they'll be like, you sold out. But so I used to make them fill it out and send it in. And if they didn't, they'd get in trouble and they'd miss, because you can't punishment run, right? Like they'd miss something, right? And I'm like, man, the effort to have to track these things down is just not worth the payoff, because every time we get in a bullpen, I feel like something new is happening and you just like roll and you're like, oh, did that feel good? Did that feel weird? Okay, wait, let's tweak this and move this way. And yes, we track that, right? Like if something really good happens where we find a grip we like, I'll like grab my phone and start videoing the hand and like I'll text it to him like, here you go. Like in case we forget, we've got evidence of what our grip was and what we liked, whatever. But I used to make them fill out journals and that was such a waste of time. I used to be hell bent on pitchers looking a certain way. Like I was adamant. I was like, they have to be on their toe. they have to do this. And if not, like, it's just not good enough. And then as you learn biomechanics, you're like, man, I was stupid. Like I thought I knew everything. And so there were certain drills and like things I made the kids do that I'm like, so counterproductive. Like if I could go back and coach some of the kids I had early on, I'm like, damn, they'd be so good because I know so much more now. But like I'm not a big drill person, so we don't do like a ton of like spinners, big ball, small ball. Like I don't do the gimmicky things as much as like, hey, like move your body and create feel. And we try to follow the kinetic chain. There are some times where I'm like, okay, does doing this drill make you really happy and make you think, like, are you gaslighting yourself into thinking you're throwing the best change up because this drill? Perfect, do it. Don't care if I hate it. But yeah, I don't do like gimmicky stuff anymore. And so some of those systems and now it's very much like one of the biggest things I took away from AU this summer being with the pro league was like if they care about it and it's important to them, like they're going to do it. So here, like I treat my bullpen kind of like a professional bullpen where I'm like, do you feel good? You can go. Like, come and go as you need. We'll have scheduled bullpens, but like if you didn't sleep and you didn't eat, like this is a waste of a training session. Like just don't come or text me and say, hey, I had a final and I've been up since 3 a.m. I haven't eaten. I like that would be a waste of your time to come throw with me because I'm just gonna kick you out and say go eat and come back because it's just not productive. So running my bullpen a lot more like a pro system. Now I have my kids here all care about their training. There are some places where that wouldn't have worked. But those kids, you just tailor it and you just kind of stay on them a little bit more because you obviously still need them to perform. But the kids care so much about doing well that like having this like structured, regimented, like I used to come every day with like a piece of paper and a plan and and now I'm like, okay, we're building from the previous bullpen. I know I've kept track of everything that we're doing, like, and it kind of is like a flow. Maybe that's wrong. Some people might hear that and think it's dumb, but it's worked really well. I know the kids love it because they have autonomy and they have say. And I'm like, hey, does this plyo, like, does this feel good? Do we feel like it's benefiting? Do we feel, and if they say no, I'm like, all right, cut it. Don't do it. Like, I don't care. Like, this is like, take pride in what you're doing and how you're making yourself better. There's very few times where I'm like, I understand you don't like this, but you have to do this because as it relates to motor preference, like sometimes like things don't work for people and that's okay. So you have got to kind of ebb and flow with it. So
I'm going to bring this back to you. I mean, yes, I'm seeing now why you're successful as a coach because most of the questions we're asking, you're going back to your kids, you're going back to your players, and you love them and show that you care so much about them. Same kind of question that I'm asked, but speaking specifically about you and yourself and your systems. And I mean, you talk about the 6-month period where that's the hard part mentally and physically, and it's just draining. And you're going in and out of hotels, you're traveling. Is there certain things that you do when you're at your apartment in Atlanta, but you're also on the road in a hotel that keeps you kind of in a routine-esque mode, or you're mentally there? Or is there anything that you kind of do on your own, not your players, but you?
yeah, sorry. So sorry, catching that tracking. My routines, I would say, and this is awful, but I'm just being real with you. I don't have a routine in the sense of like, I've got to do X, Y, and Z on game day. I get very particular because I am superstitious. If you want to call that routine driven, sure. I think it's crazy, but like if we're hitting, like, I can't take my jacket off.
Just a little stitious.
Just a little stitious, which it's funny. I have my office mug, the boom roasted. Yeah. So I mean, I typically wake up about the same time every day. If I don't do that, it'll throw me out of whack. I don't like to I'd like to have time in the morning because if I don't, I'm like, I didn't get anything done before practice. So I like to wake up and I do like to cook myself breakfast. If I don't, I've got something meal prep because that's the biggest thing for me is having my food scheduled. Because if not, your whole day gets ruined. Because then you go to the field, you're hungry, then you're trying to act pissy. Like if I don't have that settled, my food schedule, which that sounds so stupid, but like I've got to have that, and that helps structure my day. Because you guys know, like in sports, you have no idea what the day is going to bring. So having something that you're like routinely like, okay, I know I'm eating lunch at noon. This makes me feel like I have control. I know I'm drinking my coffee when I get to the office at 9 a.m. because I feel like I have control. It's all a facade, but on the road, I like to make sure I get a Starbucks in the morning. Like that's set the control of like, okay, I'm having my coffee, I'm starting my day. I know I set back in 2021, I was heavy on this like workout routine I did at the hotel. Like it actually was great for me. So I plan to try and get back into that because that also, I realized I do work better with structure and with the routine. So outside of being able to control like my intake of like coffee, food, when we have meetings, like I love to schedule a meeting, structure, scheduling bullpens. But outside of that, like routines I have for me that don't work. I mean, in that 2021 season, I tracked everything that I ate and did, and it was so much, it actually got a little like crazy kind of because the control is just a little too far. So I don't know that I'd go that far again, but just the routine of being okay, today was a tough day. I'm actually going to go for a walk to like end my day better, or I'm going to work out to like blow off some steam or whatever. But outside of that, I don't have anything cool routine wise. I think maybe that's why my brain went towards my kids because they're way cooler than me. But
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. We actually had another guest, and he's playing minor league ball right now. So we asked him sort of a similar question, and it was funny. The one thing he's like, I eat the same thing for lunch every day, and that's just no matter what city I'm in, I eat the same lunch every day. And he goes, don't recommend it, but I mean, it's crazy how much meals and food can help ground a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even so, Erin talking about Starbucks, like that's so common across professional sports, especially like in baseball or now in the NBA with the current structure where you're in a place for a couple days straight. I know like from conversations I've had with guys, like beyond just like trying to find one spot, like Dalton said, and hit that same spot every day, it's crazy how much professional athletes like chain restaurants because they know they can hit that exact chain in whatever city they go, get the same thing, and then they have that control that Erin was talking about. Like if when you're in a world where so much is uncontrollable, when you can control very specific variables, at least you know you did what you could to produce the same result again. And it's so strange to me. Like I get it. I totally understand. Like, I mean, yeah, superstition comes with sports, and I don't know if that starts to bridge the gap between like how we feel we perform our best versus what we're tricking our minds into. But like so maybe the more fun question, Erin, is beyond just like not taking your jacket off, like hit us with a superstition. Like what do you need to do to ensure a victory?
okay. So to ensure a victory on game day, I have to show up to the facility. I need to drink a coffee. I drink the coffee at the facility. When we go down, this is very like
I love
we
this.
go down. I put my stuff in the dugout. Okay. I don't do anything with it yet. I just put it there and then I go, the team's stretching. I go mess with them, whatever, go hang out with the pitchers. They're playing hacky sack. Great. As game time is getting closer, okay, I go to my clipboard. I put the sheet down. I write out who's starting. I write out who's doing what, whatever. I get the cards all set up. I feel great about it. I'm ready for the first pitch. Okay. Then after that, I go back to messing with the pitchers. Or at this point, I probably actually have to throw BP now. So I go throw BP. I go back inside, change my shirt, whatever, make sure I'm not a sweaty mess, get my life together, come back outside, go to the bullpen. The girls are throwing. Every single time we leave the bullpen before we go to the field, we high five. I high five them. I'm like, go get them, or like kick out. Or I know I say set the tone. I say set the tone because set the tone. Like show them what's up from the jump. Set the tone. So, and then I go high five the catcher. I say it every single time. I say be a wall back there, which I know is like controversial because everyone's like be a pillow, absorb. I don't care. I say be a wall. And then I walk out of the bullpen. And then first pitch, take a breath, start calling. I need to chew gum. Otherwise I'll start like twitching. I like do this thing with my wrist where I like do this the whole game because I'm like stressed. It's like my tick, right? It's like I flip my pen. And then if we are doing well, I cannot remove an article of clothing. This is an LSU superstition. If we are doing poorly, I will unzip my jacket or I will take the jacket off entirely. If this happens prematurely, every single time they score the next inning. So the second I do something out of character, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to score. It's my fault. And it always happens. So is it superstition or is it really just stats? So
I mean, you're speaking it into existence, though, if you're saying it out loud.
I got to keep doing it. Yeah, it's very structured, like structured routine. And then, and between every single inning, when I'm done talking with the pitcher, we get off the field, I grab my water bottle, I walk to the end of the dugout, I drink I drink like 7 bottles of water in a game because I'm just down there drinking water, watching, like literally, and then I walk back, put it down, do the same thing. It's my routine. Yeah.
Thank you for the superstition.
You're welcome.
I might need to bring in probably my favorite correlative response is when you're trying to say taking off your jacket correlates to the other team scoring runs if you do it at the wrong time. I swear what you're just saying is ice cream sales and shark attacks are highly correlated. It has nothing to do with one another, but they're highly correlated.
Listen, you zip it up to keep the hits in, you zip it down to let the hits out. I mean, it's basic math.
Oh,
this is softball math. This is not girl math. This is softball math. Let the hits out, keep them in.
That's good to know. I'm going to write that down. I can use that next time I'm on field.
Listen, this started at LSU because it was cold, okay? I'll never forget this. We're in a close game with someone we probably shouldn't be close with, right? Like the other team's doing a phenomenal job. We're a little stressed, right? So I'm like, golly, it's cold, dude. I'm going to go put my jacket on. And one of the managers looks at me and she's like, don't do it. And I'm like, don't do what? They're like, don't put your jacket on. It's superstition. I'm like, maybe it's cold. I'll put my jacket on. So I go to put it, and then Beth is on the top step calling pitches, and she just goes, take it off. And I'm like, oh, yes, ma'am. And I'm up on the top step like, go Tigers. Like, but she was right, and we won. So it is what it is.
All right, I'm gonna bring us back on track for maybe I know Riker's on his way, so it'll be my last question. Okay, so we talking about these superstitions, all of that, super fun, but I screwed up. I lost my train of thought, so I'm gonna cut this.
I'm so sorry that I went down a rabbit hole talking about my routines, and really you were asking or about the kids, and you were talking about me. I'm sorry about that.
Nah, it's funny.
No, I think it's good perspective, and like I said, it's honest. Like you're a successful coach because you actually care about the players. Like that is a huge piece of coaching is caring about the players.
Yeah.
But I will end with one last question on my end, and so we're going into the 2024 season. It's your first year with Georgia Tech. You've had different seasons. What are you most excited about this year with this team?
What I'm most excited about is every pitcher is going to throw, which has not been commonplace in the past. Every kid is going to throw. I'm telling you right now. So anyone in the ACC that's listening, every pitcher is going to throw. And I'm really excited to watch them succeed. They have worked their asses off the entire fall, and they have bought into a staff mentality, and they have worked tirelessly to perfect what makes them good and what they bring to the table to make us a staff. And so I am so excited to watch kids flourish that haven't been given opportunity before to flourish because maybe they didn't, have a chance, or they weren't ready, or they weren't the right matchup. But I'm telling you right now, every kid is going to throw, and it's going to be exciting for them to kind of step into their own and kind of own their role on this staff. And so that's been the biggest piece of our fall is they are like, we're a staff. And I'm like, yeah, guys, welcome. This is going to be a freaking awesome year. So win or lose, like I am so proud of how hard they've worked to bet on themselves and invest in themselves and say like, we have a group chat called the City Girls because we're City Girls, and Chandler sent a meme, and it was like this guy yelling, and it was like, does the process know we're trusting it? I'm sure you guys saw it. It was so funny. I mean, I was laughing, like I was literally like tearing up laughing so hard at it because that's the truth, because they had so many trials and tribulations with trying new windups, understanding different starting points, working through their motor preferences, understanding like, hey, what I did previously actually hurt me, and now I've got to work into something new that's going to make me better. And they dove in head first, and they have absorbed it and through the bad and the good. And so now I think we're in a really great spot. But so that's the biggest thing I'm excited for is they're all going to throw, and I can't wait for them to all kind of have their moment to shine because they're a true staff.
Well, I'm gonna steal that meme. I'm gonna find it one way or another. I might have you just forward it to me because I'm gonna be all in on does the process know I'm trusting it?
Yeah.
Is the process, I'm best friends with the process, but I don't know what the process is best
Right.
friends with me.
Right.
So, Erin, thanks again so much for today. Look forward to running this back. Hopefully, it is while you guys are in Oklahoma City competing for a national championship. Talk it into existence.
Right.
As
Right.
Banko
Right.
said, talk it into existence. But yeah, on behalf of both of us, thank you so much. I don't know if you have anything you want to close with, but I'd love to turn it over to you one last time.
I'm really grateful we got the chance to do this. Banko, I haven't talked to in forever. And so I'm glad that you guys are both thriving and successful. And Adam, I'm glad that our paths cross as much as they do because you always make me better. So I'm really grateful that you guys let me do this and talk about myself because how cool. So I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Erin. Have a good one.
Hi, everyone. Grant here. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you could like, share, and subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you think you or someone you know has a good life story to tell, we are always open to guest suggestions. You can send those suggestions to our email, tworkpod@gmail.com. Thanks again for the support.